right, up to this point, we've been talking a lot about functions and their graphs, okay? And we have been, you've been given the rule or the graph, like y equals x squared plus 2, and you have had to take this, make a table out of it, and figure out how the graph would look and figure out your own pattern or your own variables, okay? In this lesson today, what you're going to be talking about is how to write a function rule. All right, in order to write a function rule, you need to analyze a table of values. You want to look for the pattern relating the independent, or the x values, to the dependent variables, or the y values, okay? All right, so for example, we have write a function rule for each table. What you want to do when you're looking at this is you have your x, or your independent variables, and your y's, or your dependent, or your f of x's, as I wrote here, okay? So in this case, we want to we want to think to ourselves, how does 1 relate to 5? How do I go from 1 to 5? How do I go from 2 to 6? Or 3 to 7? Or 4 to 8? So you want to figure out, in order to figure out my f of x, what do I need to do to x? Well, in this case, you add 4. So if I have 1, and that's my x, and I plug that in, well, if I add 4, I get 5. 2 plus 4 equals 6. 3 plus 4 equals 7. 4 plus 4 equals 8. So my answer, or my function rule, would be f of x equals x plus 4. Pretty simple. All right, so this one I have 1, negative 1, 2, 0. Okay, so I want to figure out my f of x is equal to, well, what am I doing to my x's? I'm subtracting 2. All right, so if you could look at this table and do it in your, and figure out the function rule for this particular table in your notes, that would be great. All right. Otherwise, we're going to do one more example, and this one doesn't involve adding or subtracting, so just keep that in mind. All right, in this example, we have our x's and our f of x's, or our y's, okay? And we need to look down and we need to figure out, okay, again, what's happening to my x in order to get my f of x, or my y? So I have my x. Well, 1 to 1, 3 to 9, 6 to 36, 9 to 81. As I said, this is obviously not one where you're just adding or subtracting. It's not even one that you're necessarily multiplying, because when we go from 1 to 1, we can multiply 1 times 1 to get 1, but we can't multiply 3 times 1 to get 9, obviously. All right, so you should be looking at, what pattern am I seeing? Well, you haven't already figured it out, we're actually squaring everything. 1 squared equals 1. 3 squared equals 9. 6 squared, 36. And 9 squared, obviously, 81. So our answer would be f of x equals x squared. All right, so when writing function rules, just remember to always think about, what am I doing to my x's to get my y's? All right, come into class tomorrow with that one example done in your notes. Also, be prepared to answer any questions about the how to write a function rule, and come with any questions if you're totally lost on what we did during this lesson. All right, thank you guys.